1941. I'm working the props for the Maltese Falcon for first-time director John Huston, one of the most charming and gregarious men I have ever met, not to mention one of the finest directors I ever had the pleasure of working with. Also working on that film as an assistant to the costume designer was a Miss Beverly Dixon, a tall, leggy brunette who had the most beautiful brown eyes I had ever seen. I was immediately smitten throughout the shoot. However, it was painfully clear that she was clearly smitten with John, and given that he was a strapping 6'2" He-Man and I wasn't, I chose to demur. Well, one afternoon, I'm sitting in the commissary having lunch, and John comes over, sits next to me, and says, "Marty, I have a problem. This Beverly girl in costumes won't stop mooning over me, and I don't know what to do." And I said, "Well, John, I'm sorry, but you mean you're not interested in her yourself?" And he said, "Oh, good Lord, no. Now, she's a very lovely woman, but I already have a wife and a mistress, and frankly, 3 on a match is bad luck." I said, "Well, I'm sorry for your troubles, John. I wish there was something I could do." And he says, "Marty, let's be frank here. You have a thing for this woman, and everybody on the set knows it. You have such a lousy poker face that you should consider the fact that I have never invited you to any of my poker nights as an act of mercy." John continued, "Now, I think I know how to solve both our problems. Have you ever boxed? Never mind, not important. This is what we're going to do. You're going to meet me this Saturday morning at the local YMCA for a friendly 3-round sparring match. We invite some of the crew, and I take a dive in the first round. Beverly will be so impressed by this that she will fall into your bed faster than a hot water bottle on a winter's day." Now, I honestly thought this was kind of a half-baked idea, but I was in love and kind of an idiot about it, so Saturday comes. I get to the gym. Beverly is there along with a chunk of the crew. I get in the ring, and there's John in his boxing shorts, looking more like a mountain of a man than usual. And I swear if I did not know the fight was fixed, I would have been filling my boxing shorts with homemade lemonade. Anyway, we touch gloves, bell goes off, and the next thing I know, I am flat on my back on the canvas and the ref is counting me out. John later told me that he had overheard Beverly tell one of her girlfriends that she thought boxing was a barbaric sport, and he knew that me winning would not do me any favors. So he fell back on the contingency plan of knocking me out in one punch. Well, I asked John, "Well, why didn't you let me in on the plan in the first place?" And he said, "Marty, I was a professional boxer for years, and let me tell you, there's one thing I've learned. It is very difficult to take a dive without looking like you're taking a dive. And frankly, I couldn't trust you to sell the bit." And so I'm on my back, and Beverly jumps into the ring, bitches the hell out of John, and then examines me to make sure that I wasn't concussed. Turns out that her father was a doctor, and she was therefore knowledgeable in such things. She then took me back to my apartment, put me on my couch, put some ice on my head, and fixed me a light supper. We got to talking. One thing led to another, and another thing led to, that. 6 months later, Beverly and I were married. Now, John couldn't make the wedding because he was off shooting a movie with Betty Davis. So instead, he sent us a present. A very lovely strap-on dildo. Betty snitched. He also sent a very lovely card that said, "Congratulations and many happy returns to a real knockout." And it was a running joke between us for years about who he actually meant. Anyway, that began a lifelong friendship with John Huston, which sadly outlasted the marriage, but that's another story for another time.